Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Next Generation's First Generation for Season 4 of Star Trek The Next Generation. We are a watch-along commentary podcast, and today we are looking at the Dr. Crusher heavy episode, Remember Me. With me, as always, although he is far, far to the south of me at Next Generation's First Generation South location, is Sasha Shouties.
Hello, how are you, Patrick?
I'm good. I'm up here in Cantley Studios in Seattle.
Nice. So I'm really interested in this episode because this is one of the few episodes where it kind of touches on what the Traveler, how he had impacted Wesley.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that or not. He comes up about 2 or 3 times, and this is, I think, the second time that he comes up. So what we're going to ask you folks to do is queue up your viewing device. We are watching on the Netflix version today. We're going to give you the countdown, and when we hit play, you're gonna hit play. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Play.
And here is one of the star bases from the movies, which you can see even in HD. It just looks kind of like they put an Enterprise sticker on the film from the old movie. Now it looks really good.
It's
right now
absolutely beautiful.
That shot, but that shot before, it just looked like they kind of clip arted it in there. And now we're meeting Dr. Galen Quace.
I think they used the same video footage from the Binary episodes when they were pulling into the episode. So this is Mr. Quace, huh?
Thanks, O'Brien.
Yep.
Start the reactor! Oh no, that's Quaid. My bad.
And Gates McFadden is a good person to, other than playing a doctor, she is also a master puppeteer and really understands how things move. And I don't think there's any acting at all into how that guy is walking. I think that actor is just that old and shuffling along.
I got cast, honey, to carry a briefcase down a corridor.
Yep. And unlike Mr. Hom's briefcases, they're not going to pretend that it weighs above anything. But they're old pals. They're taking him home. She hasn't seen him since his wife passed away. Really, doing a good job of keeping him steady.
He's actually kind of giving away the key point of the plot here, where he's talking about as you get older, more and more people kind of leave you.
Yeah, it's short story writing 101. You have a little exposition to tell people, what the thing's going to be about.
Another great South Airlock Bridge, stolen from the Binary episode.
Now, Wesley is working on some project in engineering that Geordi has to walk in on and be the boss, which I don't think, we talked about this in the Barclay episode. Geordi does not do this very often. He's got to be, at the end of his rope.
Yeah,
okay, I got to come in and, totally be the boss.
He doesn't like to dominate. Usually he likes to collaborate, but it's one of those where, hey, the captain could give the order any minute and we've got to move.
And good parenting skills and as well as officer skills from Beverly, because, normally you're like, hey, don't yell at my kid. She's like, nope, his job to do it, my job to support my son. I can do both. I could allow both things to happen and keep a sense of decorum.
So I think we saw a big techno flash here.
Yes, that was the setup. Dr. Crusher has disappeared, and that was the last time we saw her in, quote, the real world. She's now entered this bubble universe. The audience doesn't know it yet, but we assume you've seen this if you're listening to us talk about it.
And after 30 years, there's really no such thing as a spoiler anymore.
Nope.
Well, there, Wesley kind of took a second look at the warp core, and I realized he wasn't looking at the warp core. I think he was kind of looking for his mom.
Yeah, his mom was there, and then she was gone. But she's like a cat. You know, you think they're sitting there, and they're not sitting there.
It's such a massive space station. Imagine how long it would take to build something like that.
It would take a long time, but fortunately or unfortunately, that's going to be the size of how things are. If people are going to be able to be this complacent in space, where you can just sit around and not be working like they do on the Enterprise all the time, technology is going to have to advance to such an insane degree. Because, like, right now, when you're in space, every second is about staying alive and keeping the machines working. But Galen Quace has disappeared. And he is a frail old man, so what happened to him?
He could have fallen down.
Yeah. Smushed his communicator. Now, this is a big role for Majel Barrett as the voice of the computer, too. Because she gets as much time in this as any of the crew does.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, here we go. It is October 22nd, 1990, 30 years to the day when this episode came out. If you are lucky, you were getting ready for the All Hallows Eve. We hope that it is a good one. We're actually recording this in late June, so we actually have no idea what the read is on the streets, but we hope
what the world is going to be like in October. I hope that you're still here and we're still here recording. You remember what you were for Halloween in 1990, Sasha?
Oh, I think I was one of those kids that wore a box and covered it in aluminum foil and called myself a robot.
I was Indiana Jones.
Oh, there you go.
My uncle had just come back from Turkey, and he had a really cool fedora and a leather jacket that I could wear. Now, what's funny is that, Chippendale's Rescue Rangers was on TV at this time, and none of us kids realized that Chip was supposed to be Indiana Jones and Dale was supposed to be Magnum P.I.
No.
Even though they were both dressed like those characters, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Huh. Well, we do see a guest appearance of the Traveler. That's our good friend Eric Minyuk. We have Bill Irwin, who is Dalen Quace. So he gets a credit, even though we only see him for maybe about a minute.
There's another Bill Irwin that's like an amazing dancer who is also an actor. Is that how does Quace spell his name?
The character Q.
The actor.
The actor E.R. Irwin is E.R.W.I.N.
Yeah, I just showed it on screen. The Bill Irwin I'm thinking of is I.R.W.I.N. He was on Legion. Show. So here's Worf to help Crusher find Quace, and he does the tech support thing of, did you try turning it off and then turning it back on again? Like, well, did you ask the computer? Well, I have to do it because I don't know if just you telling me you did does not necessarily mean that you did it.
So our Mr. Dr. Quace here, who has disappeared, he actually was in Home Alone. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, who was he in Home Alone?
He was just Man in Airport is his credit.
Well, that did come out
1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he also played Old Man in The Willies and Old Man in the show or in the movie Unbecoming Age.
Now, I do remember him in The Willies, but...
And in the movie Things You Should Have Done in Denver When You're Dead is 70-year-old man. So you can kind of see a theme where he just gets hired as an old guy who stumbles around. So we are on the hunt. We are looking for Mr. Quace. And Picard does something bossy. In fact, I see a lot of bossy moves in this episode where he says, why didn't you follow protocol? Why didn't you come to me? What's going on? And it seems out of character for Picard.
Does it, though? I mean, because He could play, I mean, because they're alone in a room, he could play the I don't remember you telling me that this happened card. But remember, we're in a universe where she just straight up didn't do that. Now, the parameters of this universe aren't established to the point of whether or not past and future exists in it the way that it, does in the regular world. But if you've ever been in a situation like it, at work, and I mean, I've only been in it on the subordinate side, where somebody says, hey, I asked you to do something and you didn't do it, and you straight up don't remember them asking you to do it, you as a, on the subordinate level have to go, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that happened, or what have you. But if you're in the leadership role, like Picard is, you can say, no, that didn't ever happen. It's his prerogative as a leader to show confidence.
That's true.
To go, no, my memory is what I'm going to count on here, not on protocol. But the buck stops with Picard. But yes, as her friend, and not as her boss, he could say, yeah, I don't remember that happening.
Oh, so now we're tracking back to Mr. O'Brien here, where he's straight up going to call Dr. Crusher a liar, more or less. You walked into the transporter room, you stood around, and then you left.
Yeah. But he's not, because it didn't in this version that they're in, that didn't happen. Quace never came on the ship in the universe that they're in.
Yeah. It could also be...
She is the only person that remembers that he existed, because she's from an outside universe.
It almost could be a scenario where, if you remember, either in the 6th or 7th season, I think it was the 7th season, where Worf passed through an anomaly and he was jumping around from dimension to dimension.
Yep.
So every time he turned around, something was a little bit different and he couldn't get any continuity out of the situation, which he found extremely frustrating.
I like the episode quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't think that Beverly is doing a bad job being defensive here, but I can definitely feel her frustration as this episode continues. Like, my 70-year-old friend disappeared. The computer says he doesn't exist, and nobody can find him on the ship. I would be a little bit more freaked out than she is.
The problem is that they're in a situation, they don't realize it yet, where they can both be right. Now, if Riker was Picard, or if Picard had given Riker the cue to do so, Riker could have just been like, well, I want one person at least to be able to corroborate that this guy exists besides Crusher. Just Crusher saying that this is a thing is not good enough. And I think that's how he would run it without Picard there. Now, this is unfair. This, I think, is unethical. Crusher's doing to O'Brien, yeah.
What does she... Well, no, why is that?
Because it didn't have... In this universe, Quace never came on the ship. He's not lying. But Crusher's like, no, your memory's faulty. Oh. It's like when I was a kid, any teacher at my school could institute me having to have a hearing test because I didn't understand something that they said.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's overkill.
That is overkill. But it happened more than a handful of times.
Or look at it another way. Let's say you and I work together. We've worked together for years quite well. And we're in a situation where I think you're wrong. And all of a sudden I jump to, let's hook you up to the polygraph. That would kind of erode our relationship, I think, to put it kindly.
Isn't a polygraph, though, the idea of a polygraph just that if you're unwilling to take one, it's more likely that you're being dishonest, and if you are willing to take a polygraph, it's more likely that you're being honest?
I have no idea how those things work.
My understanding was that they talk about polygraphs for people that they think are like of below standard intelligence. So like I have a special machine that can tell whether or not you're lying.
Well, I do know that they are used for the state patrol for new employees to come on board, and that through television, through my television education, you can definitely when you sit down to a polygraph, they have to set a baseline, so they have you tell a series of lies and a series of truths, like,
Yeah.
is water dry? No, water is not dry, just to kind of see how your brain responds.
But I would say more people that. Oh, go ahead, Sasha. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that's all right. It's just about the if you can outthink the test, then they're not effective.
Yeah,
but I also
most people.
I also see it as like, well, if he doesn't want to take the polygraph, then he must be guilty, and that kind of gets into some dangerous territory, because it's for the same thing where, like, if someone gets confronted by the police and they run, oh, they must be guilty, and no, they're probably scared.
Yeah, and that's the same. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I don't mean
okay.
to. That's the same thing with a polygraph. Is that there are, say that you weren't, trying to get a job or weren't in any kind of trouble, and they just took you in and said, let's set up a baseline for this polygraph, and they just can't, because you're not in any kind of emotional turmoil at all.
So back to the episode, we've hit a really big changing point where Beverly's discovered she doesn't have a staff. Nobody's there. And now it's about her. It's no longer about the emergency.
Yeah, now things are just crazy. It makes me think of when I lived in Tennessee. I woke up in the middle of the night once because somebody had left our back door open and a cat had gotten in. And I gave the cat something to eat and let the cat out the door. And then I woke up a little bit. It was like 1 a.m. I was like, wait a minute. Why was there a cat? This could have been because the door that was the thing is my first thought was this cat wandered into the door that was left open. The door wasn't left open. I had to open a door to let the cat out.
Ooh.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Why was there a cat? That cat might have been somebody's cat. So the next day, I'm like, oh shit. So this cat, and everybody's like, there's no cat, dude. No. I fed it last night. Let it out. Oh, you dreamt it.
Watch, there's a pile of cat food on the floor there. Hey, what is a...
And that's kind of where Crusher was with the Dalen Quace thing. But now we've moved into, no, you're just crazy.
Well,
that I know from experience, except Picard's but I know from experience that you're not. That you don't just don't do things like this, and that the flip of a switch, you're not going to start acting like that.
Well, this also goes into how you perceive reality. So when I sleep, and sometimes I'll sleepwalk, and there have been times where, from at least what my wife tells me, is I'll wake up, I'll look around, and I'll say something really crazy like, the Russians are here. And there was another time where I was staying in a cabin, a really, really big cabin. It probably slept about 15 or 20 people. Now, this was when I was in my 20s. And all the snoring of everybody in the cabin kind of woke me up. And I remember screaming into the darkness, who are you? Who's there? What's going on? And it's where my mind was disoriented to the reality that I was in that caused me to behave so strangely.
Yeah.
And so when you look at this episode here, again, Beverly's really keeping it together for every time she turns around, another person is missing. Oh, we've got pyrotechnics.
Yep.
Oh, it's a big blue...
Yeah, this is the attempt to get her back, but boy, does this look cool. I mean, this stuck in my head as an 8-year-old watching this.
I want to know why she let... All her magazines are blowing away. Look at that. I didn't even think they had paper. But yeah, you're right. It did look really cool. Even back then, it was pretty amazing. A simple effect, though. All you do is shine a camera right into the or shine a light into the camera.
I mean, we've mentioned episodes before that I clicked with as a kid, but as an 8-year-old, this was the first one where I was really heavily invested in the story of all these people disappearing.
What do you think marked the change?
I don't know, just growing older.
Growing older, growing wiser.
Yeah. Starting the second grade, making new friends. But, Star Trek The Next Generation was a constant. It had been there for, going into 4 years at that point.
It was a fixture
Yep.
in our lives at this point. I mean, it's been going. We will have just been entering the 4th year of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the interesting thing: in this alternate reality, the crew have discovered the nature of their universe, that of the warp bubble. Now the big joke is that they think that the warp bubble sucked in Galen. They haven't really figured out the inverse is true. So I've got to ask you something. In this universe, is Picard, Data, and everybody else real? Like,
yes,
so that's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
it's
think,
like, go ahead.
It's like, so when she crosses over, hey, come with me. I want to save your life, even though there'll be 2 of you when you cross over to the other side. When you think about it, of the billions or trillions of people that are going to die here as the universe starts evaporating, all because of a bubble.
Yep. Well, it's not evaporating. It's imploding, and it's dumping. It's like a computer wiping its memory. It's just dumping data as it goes along, and it literally dumps data too.
Oh, Worf isn't there anymore. They just figured out.
I remember that so vividly. It was like, oh no, Worf.
And even Troy kind of gave her a questioning look, like, "What are you talking about?" Well, here's the question.
That scene a little bit better, because it's like, where was she going? It's like the director told her, like, okay, walk forward until Crusher comes around the corner. It's like she's not going anywhere with purpose, if that makes sense. She was only standing there so that Beverly could come around the corner and talk to her. I don't know. I notice weird things like that.
Well, they're doing a better job at getting the tape off the floor nowadays. Yes. I remember a few episodes where they didn't take the marks out when doing a broad shot. Well, here comes the whole "am I crazy" conversation.
They have to, and I just experienced this too, is it's like different words mean different things to different people. Troy telling Crusher she's made a mistake, and Crusher's like, well, don't use the word mistake with me, because that's not how I'm experiencing it.
Yeah. Oh, she's looking for Geordi. He's not going to be there. Oh, Wesley, her son.
Yeah.
Oh, she's bracing herself. Oh, thank goodness he made it.
And that's where Troy in that previous conversation should have stepped in if Wesley still existed and been like, who, your son, Wesley? Because she already knows she's paranoid about people disappearing.
So there are 3 other episodes in sci-fi that really kind of are reference into this. So the Where No One Has Gone Before, that's the where we first meet the Traveler. There's a Stargate SG-1 episode called Revisions. It's a strikingly similar plot where things are moving around. And then also, this is a Twilight episode, Twilight Zone episode. It's called And When the Sky Was Opened. Yeah.
I thought we were going to say it was Where Is Everybody?
Right. And that was a much older episode. That came out in 1959, so almost 30 years earlier.
So first season of the show.
So they're reaching out to the traveler, see if he can help, but it's a long way to Tal Alpha C.
Yep. Well, if she takes the high road and Wesley takes the low road,
Uh-oh.
she'll be in Tau Alpha C before him.
We lost him. Wesley's gone.
Yep.
Now it's time to freak out. Now, I was wondering about the order in which people disappeared.
Yeah, me too.
Because here's Picard and Beverly, and there's got to be some kind of logical progress to this, where I can understand the people you know the least are the first to go, and the ones that you've known the longest are the last to leave, kind of like dementia. Well, actually, in dementia, it's more chronologically based. So, the someone you've known the longest from when you were the youngest leave your memory last. So, when you and I become demented, we're gonna remember our childhood friends, but we may not. Pat, you and I may not remember each other.
True. But she went in there. So when she entered that bubble universe that she's in, Quace never existed in there. He didn't disappear. But what may have happened is, because she was so concerned about people disappearing, that's how that universe decided to operate as it disappeared. Because it could have made stuff disappear. It could have made chunks of the ship disappear. I mean, eventually it does make the space around the ship disappear. But it could first have made, like, clothes go away, or systems just not work. But because her primary focus when she got there was this person is gone,
she wrote the rules for her existence.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how she's just kind of giving a quick little biography of the entire cast right there.
Yes, I love
the android who never gets a joke, the first officer who plays the trombone.
What would have been interesting is that it was if these were things that she had talked about before, though. I love this idea that, like, she and Picard have been, flying around in space, and he's a little bit more flirty with her when she comes onto the bridge than he normally is. His body language is a lot. Look at how he's standing talking to her.
Very
he would
casual.
not do that if they weren't alone. Yeah.
Oh, it's good acting.
Yeah.
Man, Jean-Luc looks really frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, man, I've tried to help you. I've gone along as far as I could, but I really don't know what else to do.
But he must not remember her having talked about any of those other people, all of the principal cast, up until that point.
Right. Oh, maybe the terms have changed again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sick bay staff, I could see him remembering her talking about, and
so she's programming the computer to read his stats. Captain Picard, 5'10", like long walks on the beach.
Yeah. Horses. He's a saddle enthusiast.
Likes to read books on a sex planet.
Yep.
Or play Indiana Jones.
Like, yeah, there are things about me the computer knows that you don't, and I'd like to keep it that way.
I had a ooh, this is weird moment today. So my wife and I were talking to our Alexa, just asking it questions, and we realized it could distinguish who it was talking to, like between myself and her, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So it came down when I thought I'd ask something really dumb. I say, Alexa, who am I? He goes, oh, you're a Sasha. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So Picard is evaporated. He is disapparated. And she is alone on the ship.
The computer.
Yeah, and I think now we have about 15 minutes of her and the computer talking to each other.
Well, now we're going to see what's going on in the real world, though.
Oh, we're
This
getting...
light is them trying to recover her from this bubble. Because the real crew of the Enterprise actually knows where she is.
No magazines or newspapers
Yeah.
on the bridge, apparently. Wow, that's a cool effect, hanging
I wonder if
sideways
that's
off the
actually
chair.
Gage McFadden.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is, but that sideways shot where you couldn't see her face. And I wonder if she's getting blown or sucked.
Language, please.
Yeah.
Oh, we could kind of hear Geordi and Wesley's voice through the vortex.
Would you go if you were by yourself and you thought you heard the voices of your loved ones on the other side of a weird vortex? Would you go through the vortex?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Okay. I mean, it couldn't get any weirder.
It could. I mean, that's what the Twilight Zone was. It's like you go to the other side and it's like, we tricked you by copying the voices of the people you loved.
That's such a dramatic entrance. The Traveler just materializes in engineering and says, "There's still a way."
Wesley's face made me a little uncomfortable in that scene, though.
It's him! He's back! He can sign my yearbook!
It's like, you know what? Geordi's like, Wesley, I'm like an actual engineer and don't use like pseudoscience like this guy does. And
I'm glad we keep bringing this actor back. He's very well suited for sci-fi. I think he's super tall, like 6 feet tall.
Could be.
Though whenever I hear him talk, I want to yawn.
Yes.
Oh. Here we go. I've made at least 3 other people yawn.
Probably.
It's contagious.
It made me sleepy.
Yes. I'm just going to roll my head back and forth on the keyboard here. Take a nap.
I can see him, folks, in a little icon. He's not doing that.
So basically, the Traveler is going to utilize Wesley's power within, and they're going to try to revive this static warp shell, or whatever they call it, or warp bubble.
Like anything that we can imagine is possible.
Why don't they just throw a rope through the vortex and tie a little sign that says, "Hold on"?
Yeah, that would have made the most sense. I mean, they did it in Poltergeist.
If you want to live, grab onto this rope.
Yep.
Oh, here
comes... Poltergeist was also about don't go toward the light.
Yeah, true. Oh, so we're playing 20 questions with the computer.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 questions. 3 questions.
Strained beeping.
Yep. Oh.
That is not a valid question. Your mom is not a valid question. My mother was a saint.
Question number 4.
It's 20 times as big as this one.
Question number 4. When am I here? Question number 5. How many Enterprises are there? This is called orienting 3 times. Who, where, and when are you? Question number 6.
And then how big is the galaxy, which is the one that really scares her.
7 and 8. Why am I the only crew member? She seems happy that she confused the computer.
Yeah, no gotcha questions. She's being a true Kirk. Confusing the computer. I will break now.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the Kirk era, doesn't the computer explode when you confuse it? Oh, question number 9. Where's Tau Alpha C? And number 10, is it in communication distance? 12 questions. 123 days. It's a long time at warp.
I mean, it's like, yeah, she doesn't have the necessary skills, but it's like, what's going to happen? I mean, she could just eat ice cream and watch videos all the way to Tau Alpha C.
She could Netflix her life to Tau Alpha C.
Yep.
Oh, question 13. I wonder if we're going to get into 20 questions. That'd be a nice little Easter egg. Oh, so
Now,
here you
yeah,
go.
now everything is shrinking.
The galaxy is disappearing. Look at the monitor. They're gonna, or not the monitor, the view screen. It's gonna be all grayed out. So they have to go back into dock to make the bubble again. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. You have to be where they were when they first did it.
So really, Wesley can put on his resume now the creator and destroyer of
Beyond,
worlds.
yeah, beyond mathematics. No, that
It's metaphysical.
just say we're going beyond your understanding of mathematics.
Well, a lot of what the traveler has to work with, his tool that he uses is observation of states of matter, and the idea is that if you observe something in a certain way, you can manipulate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he derives a lot of his power, is through the mastery of observation. So really, that's quantum.
Yeah.
And quantum is math.
Yes.
So what the heck?
My one of my favorite books that I've read the most in my life is A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And Madeline L'Engle, who wrote that, was very into spirituality and metaphysics and stuff, but it was like, science still exists as a way to measure that, whether or not we can understand it at first or not.
So what's she doing? Calling for help? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. The universe, the edge of the universe.
Just the shell of an egg.
Oh, question 13. So basically, the guy forgot to put up the star screen in front of the ship.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, he was on break.
So, yeah, it's that vacuum guy you see in all those memes. He's got a little star screen. That's what the, at the end credits, it just shows him rolling up a map of the stars, tucking it under his arm like Time Bandits.
So do you think in all these HD remastered versions, I know that one of the things is every now and then you could see like cameras or mic booms in the reflective surfaces of the consoles. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they found a way to kind of get rid of those.
Yeah, that wouldn't be that hard. But the reason they can't do it widescreen, even though it was filmed widescreen, is they paid very careful attention to what was and was not in the shot. They said if we actually opened it up to be widescreen, there'd be like overturned buckets and Burger King bags and things all over the Enterprise.
On Gilmore Girls, I can't remember if I brought this up or not. There's a scene where Lorelai and her mother are on a plane, and they want to rent the plane, like it's on the ground. But the very edge of the shot shows a guy smoking a cigarette and kind of hanging out like a teamster, just waiting for the shot to get over with.
Nice.
So he can move the props around. Oh, he's got that look on his face like there's a bubble in your future, Wesley. Reach out. Oh, there it is. He brought it back. It's like he's listening to a noise in his head. You ever have that where like you have to tilt your head kind of like a dog? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Collapsing.
What? Man, his face is so greasy. Look at that.
Yeah. They get those pimples all covered up.
Clear cell. So Beverly's kind of a caged animal right now. She doesn't know what to do. She's kind of on the bridge. She wants to know what's going on. And her computer's her only friend. Oh, she remembers Wesley's bubble. There's the map of the universe. Is Wesley's bubble.
What's funny is, I mean, with you were talking about with Siri, is that the computer technology would be advanced so far here in the 24th century that Beverly would even be able to say, "Hey, I'm scared right now. Could you talk to me like a friend?"
Ooh.
And the computer would be able to do that.
Actually, the computer voice would sound a lot less robotic than it does now.
Yeah. I mean, it might also be because it's a military computer, and so it has kind of that voice.
So here we go. The universe is collapsing. She has 4 minutes 17 seconds. I think we're up to question 18 or 19 now. So yes, I think we hit the 20 question limit.
So worried about my friend and the ship's doctor, I'm going to cross my legs.
It is time. Close your eyes. Put your hands on the control panel, and I'm going to massage your shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh, he tucks in his uniform.
Yeah.
He's
card maneuver.
And he's got his clenched fists
going down
too.
there.
Yeah, there's the shoulder massage.
Here's a fun question.
Okay.
Do you think, because you watch this show so much, that you'd be able to get from engineering to the bridge of the Enterprise without a map if you were suddenly on the Enterprise?
I think I could within some degree, because the turbo lifts seem to take you most of the way. You say engineering, it usually drops you like 3 or 4 doors away, because they're always coming around the corner. If you notice, they're never coming straight out of a turbo lift in engineering.
True.
She's stuck, so she's got to figure out she's got to jump through the light. So she's figuring out everything we've just been talking about for the last 40 minutes.
Yup.
What was I thinking at the moment Wesley spoke?
Now, could you do that? Could you remember what you were thinking at a specific moment earlier in the day?
If I trained myself to do it, and doctors kind of have to.
Oh, she's
So
happy.
it's like one thing reminds you of another, and reminds you of another. Where did I see something similar to what this patient is talking about? Because the computer is only so good. Your memory and instinct takes you a lot farther.
With her talking to herself like that in the last couple of scenes reminds me more of stage acting than in a play.
I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, you could do this with just the voice of the computer sitting off stage or over a PA system.
Well, I really like what you guys did with the Star Wars series.
Yeah, we did those Star Wars Outdoors. And they did, before they were doing that, they were doing original series episodes of Star Trek. And this episode, and what's fun is, it's such a good episode, is what's called a bottle show. They don't use any sets that aren't on the Enterprise. But it's really fun. It's a good mystery. You want to know what's going to happen to Crusher. Are they going to be able to get her back? I mean, we know it's TV, so yes, they will get her back, but how are they going to do it? And learning the rules of the pocket universe she was put in is really fun too. I mean, that's in a good mystery, discovering what the rules are is one of the most fun parts of it. Did I lose you, Sasha? I don't hear your voice.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was fascinated by what you were saying there about the rules of storytelling, more or less.
Yeah.
There's a thing here where I don't understand what it means when the Traveler is phasing. It's almost like he's giving a part of his reality to salvage the reality around him.
Yeah. Beyond mathematics, so.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, that just means that he didn't pass the pop quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there goes Wesley. He's fading too. And there's
enough of this.
Now, Picard could have just waved a little tab or a pad through his shoulder just to see if it would pass through. I think that'd be kind of funny. Oh, and there's our vortex and the cool blue light. This show likes its blue light. I never got that. All the effects have to be blue.
Maybe she shouldn't have be able to breathe because life support's gone, but she might not even exist there in a solid state, except she does, because thumpity thump, there she goes. And
Well,
hurt Wesley a little bit, and she banged up her shoulder. And
yeah, she is happy to see him. Are you real? Oh my gosh! Well, think of it this way: she only had 3 minutes.
And he gives her a real hug too. Yeah. He's got a grin on his face.
Think of it this way: she only had about 3 minutes to live anyway. So what harm would have it done to jump through a vortex?
She's all looking at the traveler like, "Heck, did you do to my kid? I'm fine, Mom. Let me just fix my fly here."
Oh, she's happy to be back. She's a good actor.
She is. I mean, she's more. Her main stuff that she did was all behind the camera with puppets, but.
Is there something wrong with that countdown?
No. That's the exact number there should be.
So if you've ever
And I love that she doesn't ask or look for Quace when she gets back.
Oh, it doesn't matter now. She's got her kid back.
Yep.
Aw. That was it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Happily after.
One of my favorites. I give it 5 out of 5. This is one I would go back to watch.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's a good one. I really enjoyed it. It's been ranked in several people's top 100. I think it's up there with me too. It's good storytelling. When we don't have a lot of really good, serious Beverly episodes, we've got the backstory where her and Jack and Picard were together just at the time of his death. Then we had that weird candle episode. So I'm glad that she's got a good solid character building episode behind her.
Yes.
Everybody's got one, and I've always kind of felt that I wasn't sure if it was the actress Gates McFadden or the character. It always seemed like she was separated from the cast, like she wasn't quite sewn in with the crew like everybody else.
Because she's down in the medical bay.
That's true, but Wesley, Data, and Geordi have an opportunity to build relationships, but they're in 2 different places.
Yeah, but there's more opportunity for the command staff like Data to be in engineering, and also Geordi can be a bridge officer at the drop of a hat.
Yes,
like he's qualified to captain the Enterprise. I mean, he has done it, or to be in command of the Enterprise, I should say.
Well, let's see here. That just about wraps up this episode. Remember
How many stars
Me.
do you give it?
I give it 5 as well. It's a very solid episode. Like I said, it really pays good character building service to Dr. Crusher. It's like I said, we don't have enough of those, and I'm just really, really glad that it's there. And then you gave it 5 out of 5 as well. And so our next episode coming up, October 29th, 1990, is Legacy.
Yep.
And what is that one about?
That's where they go to Tasha's planet.
Oh, cool. Yes, we get to meet the Yars. You know, that Legacy is one of those shows where, and I'll get into this when we cover that episode, but the tone and tenor of some of the episodes in season 4 and season 5 feel like they should have been season 1 or season 2. Like, I'll just remember them like, oh wow, I didn't realize it was so late in the show. Well, all right, well, with that being said, we want to say thank you very much. Be safe, enjoy your Halloween or however you choose to recreate on your October 22nd, and with that, I'd like to say have a wonderful day.
Why am I interviewing you guys?
So you're the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek
Hi,
Next Generation?
I'm the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek Next Generation?
Seek us out at Next Generation's First Generation at iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Music credits include Electric Car by Poddington Bear, Broke for Free, As Colorful as Ever, Glass Android by Lee Rosevere, Recreation by Airtone, Audio engineering by Sasha Shouties, Chief Meme Maker and episode cover credit goes to Matthew Kirschner. Logo and graphic art design credit goes to David Clawwitter. And special thanks to Patrick Delmore for working with other podcasts to make sure the good word gets out.
If you'd like to email the show, you can email us at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. I've been Patrick Delmore.
And this is Sasha Shouties. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Good night.